Hey everyone, Alex here. In this video, we are going to talk about custom WordPress taxonomy and how can we display images from it on the front end using block editor. So for this task, we will need to mostly create a lot of code. So unfortunately, there was no simple way to achieve that. So let's say that you have a post type. So in this case, it's properties, and each of these post type can have a taxonomy, right? For example, Utah, Texas, Colorado. So in this case, it's a location taxonomy. So first of all, we'll need to create this taxonomy, right? So this one is very easy to achieve. So we just create it with this code. So pretty generic, right? So we give it name here, we assign it to custom post, and then we have taxonomy on our backend. Then, so the problem comes in if we have a taxonomy, right? We can easily display a title of taxonomy, right, in our editor. And I'll just show you in our editor. So we have this title of taxonomy, right? And this one is easy to achieve with a simple default, default WordPress block. And here you can just choose your taxonomy, and then you got name of your taxonomy showing. So that was easy. However, if you want to show something else about taxonomy, right? So like an image or something like this. So as you know, by default, WordPress actually does not have a featured image, right? It has only name, slug, description. So what we need first is that we need to add a custom meta field, right, to our taxonomy. And then once we got it, once we have our custom meta, we should be able to display it on the front end, right? So first, let's try to talk about how to add this custom meta, right? So I used some AI for this. It's actually very helpful. I was using Cursor AI, and it did pretty well. So I'll show you this piece of code that it created. So we have basically these three hooks here. So first of all, we have this add form fields, then edit form fields, and then the other one is executed when we save, right? Our taxonomy or our term. So this part here is dynamic, right? So you can see this property location. So here we need to enter our taxonomy slug, right? So in this case is this property location. So this part is our taxonomy. Then this part is added when we add our form here, our fields to our form, right? And basically what we have here, so first we need to include media. This one is important to have this pop-up showing. Then there is a form here with a button and with a hidden field which will store value of our image. And then here we have this pretty old, that's how WordPress actually handles some stuff here in the admin is using this WP Media. I think it's a library or something like that. So you can actually check it here. So if you just enter, I think, media, let's try to refresh this page. Yeah, so you can see this media. This is what WordPress uses in the background, right? For this kind of like pop-up here. And then here we have a frame that will show when we want to use an image. And then there's a title, button text. And once we select anything, it will attach value to our hidden control, right, which is this one right here. and then we should also see our preview of our image. And then very similar for edit field, so it's something similar. The only what we have here is also remove image button that we can click remove, and it will remove the image here. The image will disappear. And this code you can ask Claude or Cursor, it will just generate for you, and or you can also check how WooCommerce handling this. It also handles this in a similar way. So if you just open WooCommerce categories, right, you will see a very similar code in their case. This media, all of this will be very similar. And then here we have save function. So when we save, we just first we check for security that nonce is correct, and then we just verify nonce, check some user capabilities, user roles, and then finally we update our term meta, and if it's not, we delete our term meta. So this code will basically add this field here that we can attach image to our taxonomy. By default, WordPress cannot handle this. So for example, like if we choose, let's see, Texas here, click edit, you can see here there's no image, and then we can pick any image. So let's just pick this one, and then here it will appear. If you click remove, it will remove this image. So that's how it works. And then after we save, it will save in our database, and now if we refresh, it should stay here. So now our taxonomy, right, have additional meta field that can hold our featured image data here, right? So this is part one. Then unfortunately it's not that simple, right? So once we have our featured image attached to our taxonomy, we want to display it on the front end, right, like this. And what I wanted is that I did not want to create additional custom block, although I know that I can just simply create a custom block and then just get the term, right, get this taxonomy meta, and then just display image. What I wanted is to achieve this with default blocks. So just for a sake of simplicity, you don't always want to create a new block, right? So in some cases, we just want to extend existing blocks. So what I tried first, I tried to create a variation block, which worked, but I spent actually a lot of time on it, and it was like a back and forth with my cursor. I was like telling it like, you know, this doesn't work, let's try a different approach, this doesn't work. So I can show you the code that I tried. So this one was all generated by the cursor, and then I had to instruct it. And unfortunately, it did not work. In the end, I just spent a lot of time. So I decided to try a different approach. And that's what I'm going to show you here. So what I did is basically here we have our query loop block first, right? And here you can see this is our taxonomy name, right? New York, Chicago. Inside we have a cover block. So what we want is that this cover block, instead of fetching our post image, it should display our taxonomy image instead, right? As you can see here, right? This. So the way that I made it work is that I added this custom control to our existing cover blocks. And when this control is triggered, right, when we toggle this attribute, so this is a custom attribute that was added to our cover block, and then when we toggle it, here, as you can see in our front end, we now have image showing from our taxonomy. So our New York, showing New York image. So let's just open our New York taxonomy, right? So here our New York, as you can see that this is our image here with bridge, and here we have this image showing perfectly here. Unfortunately, yeah, in editor it still doesn't show it, but for me it's not a problem, I think, because as long as it's working on the front end, it's okay. So first I'm going to show you how to create this, and then how I change actually how it's displaying here. So for this we have three different parts, right? So first of all, I'm going to close this our custom post type here. So first of all is we need to use filters, right, to add attributes to our existing blocks. And for this, I use, there's very nice video here by Nick Diego from WordPress. So he shows here how it's done. So some of this code you can basically just see in his video here. I can attach link somewhere in the description, so you can also check it. It's really useful. So it helps, basically, it shows how you can create this custom control, right? First is custom attribute. And that's what we use here. We use a filter, JavaScript filter. And here we can just give it any name, any prefix, and then we pass a function here. And first we are checking that if we are in core block, in the core cover block, right? So it applies only to our cover blocks. And here we basically create a new custom attribute, right, that calls use taxonomy image. So that is how I name it. You can name it whatever you want. And it's a Boolean. By default, it's false. And then we just get existing settings of our cover block and then just spread our new attribute into these settings. And then it's important that we need to return the settings back so that all the settings are returned, right? So this one will create custom attribute. Then this next function is, it will create actually the control here, right? And it's basically, we also use this filter editor, block edit. And then this is our function. We check that we are in a cover block. We destructure our attributes from props, then we get our taxonomy attribute, and then we add basically our control, right, the one that you see here. The only thing that I don't like is that we cannot choose where it will display, right, in what, like if I wanna maybe I can create another panel, right, but we cannot control the order, right, actually. So let me know in the comments if you know how to, if it's possible or no, because I could not find a way. And then, so basically it's just a generic toggle control, and then it will simply, on change, it will simply toggle our attribute of the one that we created here. So first, this one creates an attribute, and then this one creates control that can set or display this attribute, right? So this is a JavaScript part here. Then of course we have a build process, and of course we need to enqueue this in our block asset. So how we enqueue it is using enqueue block editor assets hook, and then we basically just enqueue in this script that is in our build folder, because it should be bundled and compiled, and then we just enqueue it, and it will show this control here. So this is a part one, right? So this is about editor. So with this we can now turn it off and turn it on. So if we turn it off, we'll just have our cover block will just simply show our post image, right? But if we turn it on, our cover block will show our custom taxonomy meta image. And this is how it's done, right? So basically we just sorry for that. Basically we just we add this filter how our block renders on the front end, right? Again, this part here is dynamic. So for example, if we have columns block, that it would be core/columns or core/buttons. This part is like it's like a base, right? And this part is dynamic. So in our case, we want to modify cover block, and then we, in our function, right, this is where all this magic happens. Again, I use also some AI to generate this. Feel free like to check everything if everything is correct, because sometimes AI makes mistakes, so you need to always check. So that's why I always keep repeating, always check, always use your knowledge, don't just trust what AI is giving you here. So for example, I had to make multiple iterations here just to tell that to add some conditions or to make some proper escaping, right? Because initially it was spitting some wrong code here. It was not wrong, but it was not entirely correct. So again, so what we do here, so first we just check. So this function will accept our block attributes here, and then it will have this attribute that we set in our editor, right? It will have it inside in this attributes array, right, with the same key that we defined, use taxonomy image. And first, again, we can just make additional check, although maybe this is not so important, but just in case. Then we get our post terms, our locations. Then we check that it's not empty. Then we get our term meta, which is location image, right? This is the name of actual that we give it to our taxonomy, right? Our meta, our name of our meta field, basically, right? And then we check if it's an image ID, so it means that we have an image. And then we use this WP get attachment image source to get different sizes, right, of image. And then once we got it, we check, and here we are using WordPress HTML API, I think it calls. So this is really powerful stuff. So basically you can like avoid, regular expressions and stuff like this. So first, when I ask this cursor, it's generated a lot of stuff here with regex and regular expressions. And then I asked, can we rewrite all of this with this WordPress API? And it did rewrite, and this is the result. So again, you need to know this stuff and ask AI to do this stuff. Otherwise, it will just generate different. Because I think that this is more reliable and more cleaner, more accurate. So with this, you can check in documentation. It's really nice tool. So basically, it's an API, right? And then we can grab any tag that we have on the page. So in this case, because we are running it on cover block, right? So we are checking every cover block, and inside we are making these checks that if first we find an image, and then and by the way, a very important part I think I just miss about this. First we check if this toggle is actually on, right? This here. And if it's not, we simply return content, right? Because if we don't have this toggle, right, we want to just return default content. We don't want to run all of this logic here, the one that we have here. All we want is just to return the content. And then if the toggle is on, we actually continue with this portion here. So very important part. And so first, we find an image here, and then we simply set attribute of source for our source. So if you explore the code here, you will find that it's a cover block. It's actually just an image right inside, and it has source, of course, but then it also has source set with different sizes. So that's what we do here. We replace our source, and then we replace our source set also and apply another properties, this source set and sizes. And then in the end, we assign our content. We basically put inside in our content, we put the updated HTML, right? and then in the end we just return it. So this logic here basically edits our front end, how block is rendered on the front end. It will not work in editor, right? At least like I could not find a way how to make it work. Maybe that can be an improvement, of course, but in this case it's not so critical actually, as long as it works on the front end. So user can just click this taxonomy, and then we will have a taxonomy image. And as you can see, it works. So here we have Chicago image, New York image, and then Texas image that we assigned earlier. So now we can have this taxonomy locations, and if we click on it, we'll have a archive with all the properties under this taxonomy. Here we can style it later. So, but this part is was very important, right, to show the taxonomy with this image. Additionally, what I want is to show how many actually properties under this taxonomy, but I think it will require again either like a custom block, or we need to use some filters again. One of these, for example, I'll show you what I use for our price right here. How we have this price in dollars, right? So for example, if we go in our projects, right, in our editor, you can see that prices actually, they do not have like a separator, right? They don't have decimal points, and they don't have a dollar symbol, but on the front end we have it. So for this we actually use, I'll try to find it, we use what it calls, I'll first try to find it. We also use filter, right, this one here. This can be also very useful. So what we do is that we filter our binding source value, right, which coming from our meta, and basically this is the value that we bind, right, to our I explained it in previous videos, right? How do we bind? We can use native WordPress stuff for this WordPress feature to bind, right? And then we basically filter it on the front end here, and format currency. So we just add additional $sign and then decimals here, right? So that's why we see these $sign and these separators here. So this one can be very useful. So maybe we can use some of these to get property location, but I'm actually not sure. I think we need some custom block for that. And if I, yeah, just let me know in the comments. I think it's possible to achieve. So we need some kind of, I think they have in documentation, right? They show example of how they show dynamic year, right, on that they can bind to any paragraph later. So I think, yeah, this probably can work. So instead of creating new block that displays something, we can actually create a regular like a text and then bind it to a custom source, right, like this. But this custom source can be just like fully dynamic PHP function. And this function, I think, can fetch a number of properties, right? For example, in New York we have 10, Chicago have 5, and then we can display it here. I'll try to play around with this. So for now, we'll just leave it like this. So let me know if this was useful. This is very technical, right, thing. Unfortunately, I could not find any simple way to achieve that, because I wanted to preserve this native functionality. I did not want to just create another block again. So I wanted to have this like native cover, and that's the way that I found how to make it work. If you know how to make in editor also, how to update it here, just let me know, because I was able to achieve it actually with AI, right, with these custom variants, but it was buggy and it's not reliable at all, and so I just decided to go different route and just make it what we have right now. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.